Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Emily.
And we're the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast. Where am I reading this? Sorry. Sometimes I just forget. Okay, one more time. Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah.
And I'm Emily.
And we're the hosts of the I Don't Think So podcast. Each episode, we discuss a different story, theory, or mystery and decide if we think it's believable or if we really don't think so.
Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we present our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, go ahead, like, share, and follow us on all of our socials at I Don't Think So _EH. And, we have a YouTube.
IDTS Conspiracies.
So you can check us out there too.
Excellent. Well, we are in our second week of June.
Nuts.
We are talking about another cult this week.
Woohoo!
And
I don't know. I don't know if I should cheer. Suddenly I'm going to take that cheer back.
I think what's interesting is we both find them very fascinating. And the cult I chose today is very, I don't want to say near and dear to our heart because that's not the right
not
word.
what we mean.
One we kind of discovered together. Slightly? Because I think, did we both watch it separately and then watch it again together? Or did I watch it and make you watch it?
You watched the first episode by yourself, and then you rewatched the first episode with me, and then we watched the second episode together.
But then we watched it on our trip too. Did we watch the whole thing before we watched it on our trip?
No, we watched it on the trip. Or I watched it on the trip. You might have watched the whole shebang.
I don't know, but... What we're talking about today is kind of like an ongoing cult, which is insane, called TFU or Twin Flames Universe. So I definitely got introduced to this based on the Netflix documentary called Escaping Twin Flames. And like Emily said, I just happened to find it on Netflix. And I definitely watched at least one episode, if not two. And then we went on a girls' trip, Emily and I, shout out Lindsay and our moms, and I made them watch it because it's so crazy.
Interesting. And just nuts. Yeah.
And I think in the scope of how crazy cults can get, I don't want to put it in it's no Jonestown or anything like that.
Right.
However, the fact that it's still ongoing and how messed up it is just crazy to me.
Oh, for sure. I'm excited to hear more about. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, because I have seen so many people be like, "Oh, that's my twin flame," and I'm like, "Do you know any of the background of what you're saying?"
Right. Well, and I think that the term twin flame goes beyond the cult.
For sure.
However, I do think that I would never catch myself saying it anymore.
No!
Which is kind of weird. So we'll get into the Twin Flames universe, which is kind of this, it's considered this American cult run by Jeff and Shalia Devine. And pretty much this whole group's practice is based upon this new age of spiritualism, trying to make popular someone finding their true soulmate, their twin flame, if you will. And it's kind of characterized as being this self-help and wellness group that then meets virtually most of the time, a little bit in person, trying to connect people to find their twin flame and kind of forces people into these relationships very early on, saying these are their twin flames. So.
Yeah. You know what I've noticed on our little deep dive of cults? So many of them are we're just self-help groups. And it's you are first.
Yeah. And so the term twin flame was coined by the English novelist Marie Corelli in her 1886 novel, A Romance of Two Worlds. And it's kind of like related to other terms such as like twin rays, soulmate. It's kind of on the same idea of these two people being the only person for each other, right? In a relationship. So different people popularized the terms, including Elizabeth Clare Prophet, which popularized the term twin flame in her 1999 book titled Soulmates and Twins Flames, the spiritual dimension of love and relationships.
Oh.
And this kind of mixes with different like Hindu, Buddhist, and evangelical Christian beliefs to create this new cult of Twin Flames universe. And it kind of combines them, arguing that twin flames are two people with permanent divine connection, and they're required for both to reach like enlightenment or salvation. So in every life, you're going to find your twin flame, and you've been together in the past, you'll be together in the future. You're always going to find that person. And so this person's Prophet's daughter, who is a professor at the University of Florida, has argued that there's different variations of this same message, but it's kind of woven its way into this like new age spiritualism and then was adopted by the divines to make their own cult. So
they took it and ran with it in a different direction.
Exactly.
Sure.
So Jeffrey, known as Jeff Devine, grew up in Michigan in a Catholic family.
Perfect.
And one of his friends told Vice News that in his younger years, Jeff focused on learning like everything he could about Warren Buffett, which is like a and in high school, he was on the swim team. He was in theater club. He ended up graduating from Western Michigan University's business school in 2010. And then he sold all of his belongings and moved to this farm in California.
Very business-minded.
So he's got this business background. He's obsessed with money. And then look at this term, which I think really falls into a lot of like weird pop culture kind of culty things now. He moves to Hawaii.
Oh boy.
Which I think is like the trademark of all weird like social media influencers.
100%.
That you spend just a little bit too much time in Hawaii trying to like find yourself.
It's like, get out of there. Leave people alone.
Mm-hmm. And then when he moved there in 2012, he changed his name on social media to Ender Ianthos. So referencing Ender's Game, like the movie.
Oh, buddy.
Okay. And then he started a blog called Ender's Adventures. He ended up building the shack in Hilo, Hawaii. And now he rents it as an Airbnb. So if you want to go stay there, there you go. In 2012, he ends up meeting Megan Plant online, and the pair start dating. In 2014, they end up meeting for the first time in person. So 2 years after they've been dating, they finally meet in person for the first time.
Woof. And
recorded it as their first video together.
Oh.
2 years later, the couple ends up marrying in 2016. And as of present time, they have one daughter together who was born in April in 2023. Megan ends up changing her name to Shalia Devine. So remember, she was born Megan Plant and was born and raised in Canada in a Catholic family.
Ah, these Catholics.
And before meeting Jeff, she was a photography student, and she also worked as a psychic, and then also at a Thai restaurant.
Gotta diversify, you know.
Mm-hmm. And then shortly after beginning to date, she changed her name to Shalia on the advice of her spiritual teacher, that's in quotes, so that she could find herself.
Who the hell's her spiritual teacher? Ender?
I don't know. But what gets me is they both grew up Catholic, and I'm like, I get wanting to push against traditional religious beliefs of the Catholic religion. Get it, right? It's a little strict. Didn't need to make a cult.
You could have gone so far and not made a cult.
Exactly. So after or when Jeff and Shalia first met, Shalia was living in Arizona. After Jeff moved back from Hawaii, he ends up moving to Arizona with her. And then the two then moved back to Hawaii together. This is where they started their first blog called Awakened Intimacy. And they began making YouTube videos in 2014. As of November of 2023, their YouTube channel has amassed 18,000 subscribers.
Oh my God.
And their private Facebook page has 14,000 members. I would imagine now in the spring of 2024, it's gotten a lot more people due to the Netflix documentary, me included.
Been there. I have.
Because I think it's just crazy to watch that they're still posting stuff regularly with no backlash, really. But anyway, they end up founding Twin Flames Universe in 2017 and began offering, quote, Twin Flame Ascension courses as a paid online class. Vanity Fair journalist Alice Hines described the classes as a, quote, therapeutic spiritual reality show. And in 2020, the course cost $4,444 to view and purchase.
Stupid.
This, again, is just their, beginner course.
This is your base level.
Mm-hmm. In 2019, the couple ended up founding the Church of Union, and they pretty much made this church so that they could, launder their money without having to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, technically it's a nonprofit, so it's
yes,
no tax for me.
Yes. And so everything falls under this umbrella of this religious belief. And then within the church, Jeff is now the Father Christ.
Ugh.
And Shalia is Mother Christ. And their daughter is the Princess of all creation.
I'm sorry. Oh, why? Why does everyone who owns a cult think they're Jesus Christ?
I don't know. Together, they are the Master Christ.
Ew.
Eternal ruler of all creation by God's living hand.
Too long of a name.
They also run the mind alignment process. And this is where they've sucked in a lot of people because their online services claim to treat PTSD.
Oh, no.
The couple also claims to have the ability to cure cancer and other medical conditions with a form of spiritual therapy virtually.
I'm curing your cancer from here.
From your home. And now, since 2020, they ended up moving the organization to be headquartered in Suttons Bay, Michigan, which is where they currently live.
Ooh, too close.
I know. So let's learn a little bit more about their teachings.
As you should.
The teachers claim that every individual has a twin flame, like we've talked about, soulmate, if you will, your one true love. And it's an intense version of this soulmate idea. And Jeff and Shalia will assign this member as their twin flame and encourage them to pursue their twin flame romantically. This is what got me watching the documentary. Okay. There would be people who would get assigned and they'd be like, we don't like each other. And they're like, you have to be together.
Well, that's what I'm like. This whole idea of you have a divine connection. How are you going to be like, I know who's best for you? Someone across the world who you've never met, but you should definitely fall in love. Mm-hmm. And they're like, hey, we just don't jive, our personalities. And they're like, no.
You're just not trying hard enough.
The divine connection's there. It's it's not there.
How are you ever going to ascend if you don't
just suck it up and deal with this person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this has now led to different instances of members facing restraining orders and criminal charges for stalking because of the amount of time and energy spent pursuing their twin flame. Members of the group are encouraged to engage in what's called the mirror exercise.
I vaguely remember this.
Which requires one to think of what is bothering them and then blame themselves for it. So for example, there was one example in the documentary where someone like gave the example of like, I wish you picked up your laundry more often.
Mhm.
Well, you would sit in the mirror and be like, I wish that I picked up your laundry more often because I'm failing you as a wife. Because the reason why you don't pick up your laundry is because I'm not being a better wife or a better twin flame. And a lot of it falls on the women.
Let me be shocked.
Mm-hmm.
Good to know nothing's changed, even in cults.
Right. And so a sociologist studying the cult has described this as a kind of introspective exercise, which they say it's there to help you, but it's actually there to pretty much like tear apart your internal self.
Correct. Like, can you imagine your self-esteem after all this of like,
No.
I'm upset, but I'm upset because I'm a failure. And it's like, Jesus.
Mm-hmm. The group also claims to be supportive of the LGBTQ plus community. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
But their rhetoric pretty much stands on the fact that like how you identify yourself is not necessarily what your like spiritual gender is.
Oh yeah, isn't it like?
And so you could be a divine masculine or a divine feminine. That doesn't necessarily align with your gender identity.
Right. Wasn't it like, because then they were getting in trouble because there was all the restraining orders coming out. So they're like, no. Your twin flame has to be a part of our universe. And so they were like partnering up two cisgendered straight women. And they're like, actually, one of you is a man divinely.
Yep. And they pretty much came out saying like, we're running out of men for you to date.
So you're going to date a woman, but you're
actually a divine masculine. And that's why you can't find the right man for you, because you're masculine and you need to find your own divine feminine. Okay. And so former members have criticized the group doing a form of like conversion therapy to convert them to what they quote as their divine gender identity.
Oh boy.
Okay. One of the former group members compares this ideology as, quote, if excessive liberal progressives got drunk and had a baby with conservative Christians. Which it's like, because it's the same type of idea. It's just like the extreme opposite.
Yeah, where they're like, you could not be, there's no way you're straight. It's like, Jesus, dude.
Mm-hmm. Other members have mentioned being assigned a twin flame who wasn't the gender they're attracted to. And many people have changed their pronouns, their hairstyles, wardrobes, names, and more of their physical appearance to try to like conform to what Jeff and Shalia claim as their divine gender identity.
Yeah, because wasn't it like, they're like, no, you're a divine masculine, so you should start presenting very masculine.
Yes.
And like, for some of these people, they're like, I like wearing dresses. And they're like, no.
You actually don't.
You don't.
And that's why you haven't found your twin flame, is because you're not accepting your divine gender identity. Which is just, makes me icky. So again, like I said, this cult has been like kind of researched and interviewed for a couple different like media outlets. Vanity Fair did a report on them. They ended up making the documentary Desperately Seeking Soulmate, Escaping Twin Flames Universe in 2023. And then what I watched, which was Escaping Twin Flames.
Yeah.
Also in 2023. So what I find very interesting is that this group has been interviewed for different like money issues, tax evasion, all of these things. They still continue to run their organization with no issues from the government.
No consequences from government forces.
On top of that, they're still getting people to pay for these courses that are just complete insanity to me. And there's like no consequences.
Well, that's the whole thing about why do people join it? Why is there a cult? And it's because you are picking on people's like deepest insecurities.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people are like, God, I just want to find someone to be in love with. I want, and I think in today's society, there's a lot of research out there now that's like, we are the most connected as humans we've ever been. However, it's like historically the loneliest we've ever been.
Yeah.
And so I think by nature, humans are social animals. They're like, I want to find that connection. Why do you think dating apps are so prevalent? Why do you think like health and beauty is so prevalent? Why do you think like gyms are such a big deal? Because it's all this like, I want to do all these things to find someone to be with. And so they're picking on people and picking on that insecurity for folks. And they're like, see, if you just pay $20,000 to take our classes, you will have a soulmate. You will have someone to be with. And I'm sure so many people are like, well, I've already spent how much money on makeup and skincare and going to the gym and diet pills and and dating apps and whatever. What's another $20,000 for a guaranteed, quote unquote, soulmate?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's not shocking why people do it, but it's so detrimental.
And it's sad because it's
so
like you
sad.
said, people go into this with the best of intentions and have just these horrible outcomes.
Well, like awful people taking advantage of them, you know, being like, I can't even imagine going in. Like, if it was me, you know, I'm a straight woman, blah, blah, blah. I'm going in. And like, I was like, this is great. I'm going to find someone to be in love with. I'm so excited. And they're like, you're actually a man.
Yeah.
And you like women now. And it's like, what do you do? Because at that point, you're so deep. You're thousands of dollars in.
Well, and like the psychological warfare of thinking like the only reason why you haven't found your partner is because you're not identifying yourself correctly. And then you're having to sit there and think like, is this why I haven't like found my person? And so then you start believing it and then you get into it and then you realize maybe not. But then how do you
get out? Well, especially with that mirror exercise, like that is a classic, like I will break you down because then when we get to the point, I can tell you whatever I want you to do, and you're not going to have the confidence to tell me no.
Exactly.
Ugh. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. And it makes me so sad for those people. Also,
why are we policing weed if like things like this exist?
No kidding.
Like,
oh my God.
Can we like measure our priorities a little bit here? They're like, you know, we've got thousands of people behind bars for like marijuana, but the people who are like actively harming people,
hey, it's religion.
Amen. Hallelujah.
In Michigan.
Too close to Wisconsin.
I agree.
Not that like, and everywhere's too close, but like.
That feels really close.
That feels like my backyard. Do you remember? Sorry, we're diving to a different cult. The FLDS?
They bought land like
20 miles from here.
In the neighboring town next to us. They're building like a compound.
I'm scared.
Between Menominee and like Downsville.
Again.
Which makes complete sense.
The name like Downsville. What are you going to do? Oh my God. And to me, it's like, again, another group of people. How is anyone still signing up for that?
I think you're just like, it's like just generationally, people are so far in.
Hopefully the twin flames like don't have kids. Also, the God complex that daughter's gonna have.
I know, the Princess of Christ.
The Princess of Creation.
Princess of Creation, which is just,
girl, you better hope they don't have another one and it's a boy because you're gonna get
booted. Also, can you imagine like dating her?
No.
Like when she grows up and they have to be your in-laws.
Come home and meet my parents. And they're like,
pass.
Actually, this is not your twin flame. You know they're gonna sell her to someone.
Some creepy man.
Some creepy 50-year-old man for money.
Ugh.
Because they're bad people and you can't convince me otherwise.
No.
Oh my God.
Ugh. Yeah. So there you go. Cult of the day.
If you listen, folks, if you need help finding someone to be your lifelong partner, let's like start with yourself and some therapy and like give it time. You'll be
honestly, bold statement. You'd be better off alone.
Oh my God. I'm joining this cult.
I would 100% be eternally single than find my twin flame through Jeff and Shalia.
And the word, I remember in the documentary, there was the one couple that escaped together.
Yes.
Who got partnered together. And I'm like, I think they genuinely loved each other and did love each other. But I'm like, how sad.
Yeah. Well, I remember the one sister. So remember the two sisters got into it, and the one brought her sister into it, and then she ended up divorcing her husband or whatever. The older one did, but then the younger one, they like hooked her up with some like felon.
Yeah, and like shipped her across the world.
She's like 19 and moved across the country to live with this like criminal,
with this bad dude, and they're like, "You're welcome."
And you're not doing the mirror exercise enough, and that's why he's dealing drugs.
The reason your husband's beating you is because you're not good enough.
Oh God,
that mirror exercise. Ugh.
I can't
talk about like shock. Some narcissist out there isn't like, I should have thought of that.
No kidding. Well, obviously they did it. Bing, number 1 and number 2. Hoofda.
It's really a miracle that like bad people find each other.
You know what? I think they are each other's twins.
Honestly, they figured it out.
Mm-hmm. Also, they're just like, we are just so awful together. This has to work for other people.
Kidding. I love that Jeff went from Jeff to Ender back to Jeff, and Megan went to Shalia, and she's like, no, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm. Also, that her spiritual advisor told her to do it.
Frick off.
Also, it makes sense that she was working for a psychic and a tarot.
Oh my God.
And a photographer.
That makes me think of, do you remember good old Hannah and I, good old Catholics, raised Catholic, whatever, I don't know. And we went to this youth conference. That's just what makes me think of it. And some guy was doing a speech, and this was a long time ago. And he said, if you prayed hard enough, your guardian angel would reveal their name to you.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? Oh.
I think I blocked out a lot of our youth conferences. Besides, like, Father Hirsch's magic tricks.
Oh.
Which then in my head, I'm like, is he allowed to do this?
This feels a little wrong.
This feels a little sacrilegious. But that's fine. I liked it when he'd sing he is like your stereotypical like youth pastor, like whipping out his guitar
and magic tricks, but he was so cool. I liked him.
He seemed like a decent person.
He did seem like a decent person. Yeah, no, this guy got up in front of everyone and said, if you pray hard enough and ask your guardian angel every day what their name is, eventually it'll be like revealed to you spiritually. And I remember for like the next year, I was like, come on, tell me what your name is. Believe it or not, never came to me.
Who do you know who the person was?
No, he was bald.
Like a random guy.
Random guy did not go to our church, was like hired in.
You know, I think about the fact that we did that at our like local high school.
Yeah.
Which is like a little
weird. But think about the bops that you remember.
Music, great. You know what got me? This is what I think about when I think about the youth rallies. We were doing adoration in the auditorium. You had to kneel on the cement for an hour. And we were playing rock, paper, scissors behind the chair. And we weren't that young. We were like in middle school.
Oh, yeah.
But like an hour?
I remember like leaning back on the auditorium chair and someone being like, you have to kneel. And I was like, honest to God, my knees hurt so bad I'm going to throw up.
Well, and what I don't get, this is going to reveal my true religious beliefs. I remember being in like elementary, middle school and thinking like, I can pray to Jesus.
Yeah.
5 minutes and we're good. Like, why do we need to sit here for an hour? And it wasn't like, oh, I'm young, I can't sit for an hour. It's just like, I don't know what else to say to him.
Amen, I say to you.
And so then I'm just starting to like,
I'm daydream.
And then I feel like all it is just me feeling bad about myself. And then
I'm daydreaming.
Having ADHD and daydreaming about something else. And then when I catch myself daydreaming about something else, then I feel bad again. But it doesn't fix it. I'm just going back to whatever. And then I'm going to pretend like I don't feel bad because I can't take it internally. And then I'm just going to keep repeating this cycle over and over again. When I'm like, I could have prayed to the dude and been like, hey, thanks for helping me on my spelling test.
Yeah.
You ever do like the JMJ on the top of your tests or whatever? For Jesus, Mary, Joseph?
No!
I don't remember one of my CCD teachers told me, like, on the top of every test, write JMJ, because that means Jesus, Mary, and Joseph will be watching over you as you take your test.
Are they not watching over me anyways?
I don't know, but I would just, I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking during adoration, wrote my JMJ on the top of my spelling test, got an A. Thanks. What else am I supposed to say to you? Maybe your host should taste a little better.
The host tastes kind of crappy. I'm just gonna say the wine, every time. Hits every time. But I remember being like, my knees hurt, and then you'd look around and you'd see someone who was so into it, who's like eyes closed, head bowed, and so then I'm like, crap, I'm supposed to be doing person. That. Yeah. So I'm bowing my head, and I'm the one people are looking at, being like, she's into it. Now I'm the causer of guilt, and so they're into it. So then I look up and I'm like, do I look at it? Do I look at the ground? Do I close my eyes? If I close my eyes for too long, I'm going to fall asleep and my knees hurt.
Yeah. No, and then it's like, well, now we're going to go. Also. So I have that memory from the youth rallies. I have another memory of going to confession.
Oh.
And they did it in like the one little hallway by the district office.
Yeah.
Where like people could walk by and hear what you're saying. And I did it with our old priest who'd had so many strokes and heart attacks that you couldn't really understand what he was saying.
Yep.
And I remember him telling me I had to pray. Like I told him my sins, and then I couldn't understand like what prayers he wanted me to say.
Oh no.
And so then I asked him again, and he's just like, go do whatever you want. But in my head, I'm like, no,
I need you to tell me.
I need you to tell me. And then for like the next year, could I have gone to confession again? Absolutely. But
did I want to?
No. So then for the next like year in my head, I'm like, I never got my sins forgiven because I don't know if I did the right prayers because I couldn't understand Father Africa. And I asked him and he's just like, meh, whatever. But in my head, I'm like, no, like this is life or death for me.
Yeah. You know what my favorite confession was? The man had so many strokes and he was not willing to listen to everybody. So he sat in front. You had to walk up, whisper one sin into his ear. And the man was deaf. So you couldn't, he just kind of went in his ear. And then you went and sat down and collectively we said a Hail Mary. And he's like, and you're clean, go.
Well, and then I remember there being so many like non-Catholic people that came. Mm-hmm. So this is my other core memory of the youth rally was I was sitting next to this girl that I went to school with, and she wasn't Catholic, she was Lutheran.
Oh.
But at that point, I don't know, I was like upper elementary, like 3rd or 4th grade. I wasn't that old, but I didn't understand that there was a I didn't understand that like Catholics were Christians, but like
so were Lutherans.
So were Lutherans were Christians. Like I thought that Catholic and Christian was like the same thing.
Yeah.
And so we're singing, and they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. And I'm like, to this girl, I'm like, I'm so sorry. This must be so uncomfortable for you. And I'm like, genuinely in my heart, like, she's singing and she looked uncomfortable. So to me, I'm like, I'm so sorry that you're uncomfortable saying you're a Christian. And she goes, I am a Christian. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're a Lutheran. And she's like, yeah, Lutherans are Christians. And I'm like, I don't think so.
I think you're wrong.
But like, you do you, girl. And then I remember telling my, like, I think I told my dad afterwards. And I was like, I told so-and-so, I'm sorry that you're singing, like, well, no, we're Christians by love, whatever. And she's like, I am a Christian. Because I'm like, no, you're not, you're Lutheran. And he's like, yeah, Lutherans are Christians, you idiot. I was like, huh? I feel terrible.
You're just sitting there like,
you are the whole time I'm like contemplating, like, I'm feeling so bad for this girl because she's singing this song.
And the whole time she's like, I just don't like singing in public.
And she's like, we sing this song at my church too. And I'm like, why would they sing
that song?
Those are my only memories from the youth rally besides the band.
Oh, the band, so good.
And then in my head, I'm like, why don't they play these songs at our church? And then I'm thinking, there's no way all these old people would stay on beat.
No. You'd say, give me a J, and they'd be like, ah!
Who?
Why are we doing it? And then they'd be like, rebel rousers, and it'd be a nightmare. But anyways, thanks for listening to us babble for a little while. Oh God.
Oh, this is why people convert to Twin Flames Universe, because they don't want to follow to the youth rallies anymore.
The beats though were great.
Beats were great.
Anyways, we will see you all next week with another cult, and it'll be great. So check us out on YouTube, check us out on our socials, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.